Hello and welcome to our next Mosca live event with the name Out of the Data Jungle, How Regulatory Pressure, Packaging Data and Evidence Become a Scalable System. In our live event series, we are now focusing on the data and regulatory-driven part, which is very important for your daily life in future. In this event, we focus on the current upcoming concrete measures of companies in focus of packaging regulatory in European Union as well as in UK. For this specific topic, we've invited different experts, and we like to highlight those topics step by step and bring you individual important milestones to your attention. While the framework of regulation is now getting more precisely and complex, the handling is also a very important topic to implement those in your companies. So for the first part, I like to invite here to my speaker table Bernard Merckx. He's, please get forward, he's member of the packaging consortium called Strapping Alliance. Welcome, Bernard.
Very good morning, Martin. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you on that table. So I think the first important focus we like to set is on how do you feel the sense is the PPWR in European Union and also the plastics packaging tax strengthening in UK becoming in place? So can you give us more insights of that?
Okay, I think to better understand the impact of just the packaging and packaging waste regulation, you have to understand that this is part of a much bigger plan, which is called the Green Deal, where also regulations on the end-of-life vehicles and, for example, on the construction product is there, basically all the markets where your products are used. And it's clear that the law was published in 2025, and it will actually come into force on the 12th of August this year. There's a lot of activities which need to be done. What also happened in the packaging and packaging waste regulation is that the role of some people have changed. So whatever you thought was logic yesterday may not be logic anymore tomorrow. So you have to better prepare. And it impacts basically all the applications and all the packaging applications and uses in the European Union. You mentioned the UK and tax. Yes, of course, there is also this link. As you know, also Spain has a plastic tax. We will see there. And overall, we also see, of course, the discussion still ongoing on what we call then the Circular Economy Act, because Europe, from a geopolitical political situation, also needs to take care of its resources in a different way.
Yeah, and how do you see this specific focus in that regulations on so-called critical substances and declaration? I mean, that's a key part which will come up from 12th of August.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. We see that already coming for quite a long time, that if you want to go into a circular economy, of course, you also need to be more and more clear on what actually you're using in a second stage or a third stage of your production. Which means that there is a lot of more focus on the substances in packaging which are used and how to make them available for the next users. There's also, of course, a lot of discussions ongoing on recyclability and recycled content, and we can go into that in more detail if you want. And you will talk about a lot of labeling and make data available to the users, up to the consumers.
Yeah. That's exactly a good handover to the next participant here on the table, especially the deep dive into what kind of declarations do we need. And further on, we also like to go into how to label that and get access to those data. So thank you very much for your comment.
You're welcome.
Like to welcome here Sonar Chakar of Mosca Group. He's expert for the regulatory part, and let's have a deep dive of this expert of Group Mosca on regulatory. What is Mosca actually issuing and what providing us data, and can you share some more focus on the specifics, especially on PPWR and maybe also plastics packaging tax UK?
First, good morning, Martin. Thank you very much. So when we talk about material and product compliance, we are no longer talking about material properties or technical suitable. We are talking about documentation, traceability, and about a steadily increasing administrative load. For example, we're taking strapping. From a technical perspective, it's a major reliable product. But from a regularity perspective, however, it is increasingly becoming a carrier of political, environmental expectations. In practice, compliance today means that material decisions can no longer be made purely on technical and economical grounds. Every formulation, every recycled content share, every additive may fall into the context of substances restrictions, classification obligations, reporting requirements, and proof expectations. Often, the focus is less on actual risk posed by the final product and more on establishing seamless assurance across the entire supply chain, including documentation, declarations, and regular updates. The resulting effort cannot be attributed to a single regulation, but from the summarized effect of many partially overlapping requirements that must be handled and met at the same time, interpreted correctly, and coordinated with each other. This development becomes particularly visible in the context of the packaging and packaging waste regulation, called PPWR. It marks a clear turning point away from broad, principle-based objectives and toward concrete, binding product requirements. Requirements related to recyclability, material composition, recycled content quotas, and proof of compliance are technically manageable. However, the documentation is intensive, audit-prone, and subject to continuous change. The real additional effort lies not so much in the material itself as in demonstrating its compliance in convincing, consistent, and audible manner. At the same time, responsibility is increasingly shifting from the product alone to the entire manufacturing and supply process. Issues such as unintended material losses, information obligations regarding substances, or national policy instruments interact with each other and create a situation in which compliance can no longer be handled selectively, but must be managed continuously. From a cooperative perspective, this results in a significant administrative burden, more internal coordination, more external evidence, and more interfaces between engineering, procurement, legal, and sales functions. Sorry. It is entirely valid to take a critical view of this development, particularly in the case of technically simple but safety critical products. Questions of fairness and practical application arise. It would be too simplistic to view compliance solely as an administrative burden. When approached correctly and implemented in a structured manner, it also creates order, comparability, and trust. Intensive engagement with material flows, recycled material quality, and design for recycling principles inevitably lead to greater product and process clarity. In a market increasingly shaped by reporting obligations, customer expectations, and sustainability-driven procurement decisions, this very clarity can be an advantage. The central issue, therefore, is not whether compliance creates effort. It does. The key question is how this effort is integrated as an annoying additional obligation or as a structuring element of product strategy. Companies that address compliance only reactively experience that it is a permanent burden. Those that approach it proactively with technical depth and transparency gain room for maneuver, credibility, and long-term resilience. So the key point or the key message here is those who understand compliance as an integral part of value creates and can create a transform regularity pressure into structure, trust, and differentiation.
Thank you so much, Sona. I think those are very valid points to convert that into a differentiation and trust with customers along the value chain. So what's actually in for our customers at Mosca? So if they approach you, can they get the latest status of documentation, of declaration in with the focus, especially of PPWR?
Yeah, they can. They can ask us and write to us, and then we will help them and lead them our documentations about PPWR and other material and product compliance issues.
Is there also on top some help to understand those new needs and new measures? Will you also offer a kind of service to explain the one or the other thing? You've said there are burdens coming up. You call it burdens, but I think there's also a lot of unclarity in explaining paragraphs and especially the translation into the practical way of communication.
Yeah, we will try to help everybody and everyone who needs help. So we just try to help them in cases where we can.
Okay, so thank you for having you here in that round and being the expert of the group Mosca, responsible for those questions who might arise. We'll share the contact of Sona in the chat of this event so that you have access and can ask direct questions. So I'd like to lead over, and please stay here for a while, to the next subject. It's more the practicality. So how do we do that and how we do get access to that? In the past, and I think that's still a common way to communicate those documents, is an email with a lot of attached PDFs. But PDFs and sending emails is something what we have done the past years, and we like to have a differentiation. And for this specific topic, we like to show you that we have had a project with partners to get access to those data. And for this specific project, we have done the following. As you can see now in the upcoming picture, the strap is marked with barcodes and QR codes. And this barcode and QR code can be linked to, for example, those kind of safety tests. But also beside the safety tests, which you can refer to, it could be also linked to the pool of data, documentation, declarations. And this is for us the way in Mosca to get access and to provide a different way of communication, a modern way. Nevertheless, the whole base for that, and this is the next part where I like to invite Sebastian Schmidt, our digital expert of Mosca Group, to the table, is the digital load pass, the digital access to those data. And thank you for having you here, Sebastian, and your time. Can you please be so kind and share more about the digital offering, what our customers can expect if they have the option to access the digital load pass and to create that?
Yes, Martin, I can. Good morning also from my side. Yeah, the digital load pass. The digital load pass is more than just a data repository, it's a central hub. It should serve, or the digital load pass should serve as a single point of truth regarding many informations on the load unit. You can store information about the load unit stability, about the materials used for the transport packaging, about its recyclability, and also all the declarations Sona has talked about. This all can be stored in the digital load pass. And also additionally, you can also store or link the digital product passes. At the moment, there are many service providers that offer solutions on this level, on the digital product pass level. But we as Mosca, we go one step further and also take the supply chain into consideration. So we aggregate or orchestrate all the digital product passes together, and additionally put some information about the load unit and the supply chain in the digital product pass. This information can then be accessed via a unique QR code that is attached to the load unit. You can scan it, and then you have all the information available. When this in this topic, the access control is very central. So, of course, an anonymous user sees different information than a authority, shipper, or a consigliere.
Yeah.
So my key message is that the digital product pass does not solve laws, but it solves problems that come with organizational problems that come with new laws.
Yeah. Is there any chance to see how that digital load pass is actually working? Do you have some visual effects for the viewers here online to share?
Yeah, maybe we can, or we have a pilot project running in our strap production in Muckenthal. There we try to, or we integrate the digital product pass on our load units that will be sent out in the future, and there we gain some experience with the digital load pass, and are open also for pilot projects with interested customers.
So meaning if interested customers are knocking the door and getting contact to you, and also your contact data will be shared later on in the chat, we'll build up a demo with our own shipment, so our own pallets being shipped out of our strap production. And then we like to integrate, as you said, the declaration, the conformity, as well as the load safety documents to show and have central access. What I liked and I learned recently are those different layers of access. You said there's, first of all, a very simple view or agglomerated view for authorities to check, very simple, and have an access to just the needed data. And then there are layers below having deeper and deeper access to that, right?
Right, yeah. With a digital product pass, load pass, we are very flexible concerning what customers want to add as an information. We have some basic information that we see as essential, but there are some other possibilities concerning what the customer wants to add, and it's a very future-proof concept that we have with a digital load pass.
Yeah, seems to be very interesting also to link into other information of customers who like to follow the value chain right from the beginning. As you said, the recycled content, recyclability information, also most probably for some countries now upcoming EPRs where they like to know where those recycling streams are originating and coming from, we can trace. So meaning along the value chain, those values can be tracked. What kind of machinery do those customers need to have from the Mosca side?
What we need are some sensors that are mostly integrated on in the Mosca machines already on the market, but we need to have an edge server, edge module on the machines that is linked, of course, to the cloud, where we aggregate all the information. And if there is already a test report on the available for the load unit, we compare the target and the actual parameters, so we can see what if we have reached the target parameters, and then therefore we can say this is a safe load unit based on the text and the report.
Yeah, and that's exactly what was linking to our last event, right? So if we do packaging minimalization, we can trace the data and we can refer that to a, let's say, road safe tested unit. And by repeating that kind of strapping, we can ensure that those new loads are also safe and road safe, same as the one we tested as reference.
Exactly.
Right. So for everybody who's interested in that, we like to highlight to have a look on the last event we had on packaging minimalization, road safety, and load security. And I think that's a very good frame where we put everything in, that the declaration, road safety, minimalization are those topics which link together. We've heard now very often that recyclability and recycling content is something of interest which comes up. And I can clearly say, and we didn't touch that point with Sona, but that the plastic packaging tax regulation will have an update 1st of April, where mandatory post-consumer recycled content is needed in plastics packaging to avoid taxation. Also, this can be covered and this can be documented and also uploaded in a digital way to ensure that those taxation is not doesn't need to be paid if the right consumables are used. So especially the topic of recyclability and recycling content, we're going to highlight in roughly 4 weeks in the next LinkedIn live event of Mosca, and we like to invite you already today to join that topic. Thank you, Sebastian, and also thank you for the other ones. Like to join the table and invite the audience as usual for a joint discussion. So if there are any questions from the audience, please feel free to send it to us, and we are happy to answer those live for you here out of our studio. I will check. That's a good one. So it's directed to Bernard. Bernard, most probably we haven't highlighted it enough, but here's a question of, will the PPWR really happen, or is it still a chance that it will be disappearing?
With my long background in the Brussels arena, I would say I would be very surprised if it would disappear. There are still attempts ongoing to delay it. But so far the Commission has not given in to that request. So just count on it that it's going to be there. And it's already published, so basically it's coming. Prepare yourself and reach out to your supply chain to help you, because in the end it will come. And maybe to add on that, Martin, for some people, without going into, let's say, a lot of discussion, a regulation means that it's valid, harmonized in all EU member states of the day of publication. Yeah. So there's no escape whether you are in Spain or in Romania or in Sweden. Everybody is on it. Yeah. And I think that's also something people should realize. And what I said, there are of course some fine-tunings are still ongoing on some issues. The Commission can work with Delegated Act and Implementing Act, but overall, just prepare because it's coming.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a very clear statement from your side. There's another question of the audience popping in. It's directed to Sona. Beside the mentioned declaration of conformity for the PPWR, do you also declare material and product compliance of your strapping you produce?
Yeah, we are declaring different restrictions or requirements from the European side and the global side. For example, REACH, ROSE, PFAS, POP, CLP, and other material and product compliance issues. And yeah, just ask for it, and then we will help you out.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, that's a clear statement. If you as customer are interested in those declarations, feel free to ask us if we don't send them automatically to you. Let me check. There's another question coming in regarding the digital load pass. That's to you, Sebastian. So has the digital load pass something to do with the digital product pass? Maybe you can comment on that one.
Yeah. The digital product passes, they are more targeted on the products, on the transported goods. And the product passes, they include information about the materials, also said the recyclability, the origin of the product, and so on. And it is mandatory. It is already mandatory. It will be mandatory in the future, and starting with different kind of products. I think for the first step, it's batteries and textiles, and it will go on and on for different products. And as I said, it's mandatory. The digital load pass that we offer is not mandatory. It's a solution from Mosca, but it includes documents that are mandatory. So it aggregates the mandatory documents like the product passes and also declaration documents.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a kind of clear statement. Happy to walk that path with you in the digital arena. I see there are no further questions popping up. If there are any of you in the audience you'd like to send to us, please feel free to send either an email or send it on the chat. We are here for you to answer all your questions on these specific topics and also others. As said, like to summarize the event with some clear last words. What we like to do is we like to give you a clear roadmap on how to handle those data provided by us, that you are also able to be in the position to make it as a differentiation and a clear advantage for you. So we can help you which requirements affect you, what role do you have in that value chain, and what data do you need and you need to comply to. A clean system with clean consolidation of data, especially in the digital environment, is something what will be, as you said, future ready. And that's something what we like to motivate you to go for. And we're happy with you to implement that. And as Sebastian said, we like to invite you to our demo in our own plant, which will be available in the next upcoming month. So we think that the new standard is thinking packaging and digital data together and bring that together onto one platform and provide it along the value chain. So thank you very much. And yeah, it was a pleasure having you, and see you in the next Mosca event. Goodbye.